What is up, everybody? Mike here. Totally random vlog subject today, but it's one that came up last week, so it's one I wanted to talk about. And this might surprise some people because I actually know a little bit about the subject, even though, you know, my channel unfortunately so far has just been like American cars, and that's because I haven't had access to any other type of cars yet. You know, if someone comes up to me tomorrow and says, hey, review my WRX, you better believe I'm going to drive it. It's just I haven't had access to it yet. But I love all types of cars. I know I've said that before, and one of my all-time favorites, if I could own, you know, if I was rich and had a dream garage, one car I'd have in there would be an R34 GT-R. And I was at Supercars on State Street last weekend, and there were a couple R32 GT-Rs there. And the person I was walking with at the time was just like, hey, well, that's cool. I thought they were illegal here. You know, I was like, well, something like that, even though there's a whole backstory. But, you know, there's tons of rumors out there about why GT-Rs and Skylines in general are illegal in the US. I've even heard crazy things like, oh, well, they're too fast. You know, you can build 1,000 horsepower too easily. Too fast, they're illegal. But, you know, the real answer is a lot less sexy and interesting as that. It's basically just they were never designed for the US market. And so, you know, there's a lot of different aspects of the car in different generations that just don't comply with the FMVSS, or the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards and Regulations. I'm pretty sure it stands for that. Yeah, and it's just basically there's a lot of different reasons. You know, some generations were different, so some didn't meet safety standards, some actually did meet the crash test standards. I think the R32 GT-R did meet crash test standards, but didn't meet emission standards. So there's a lot of different reasons. I mean, there's crazy little stuff like, you know, you can import one here, but you have to do a ton of stuff to it, like you even need to add front bumper supports just because that's the specific law. So basically, the real simple answer is they were just never designed for the American market. And why is that? And it's basically because there was just no demand for GT-Rs here until the later years. I mean, and it might seem really silly, but Fast and the Furious was a huge part of that. That really opened up people's eyes. That kind of brought the car to the general American attention, and people were like, holy crap, you know, this is an affordable all-wheel drive 300 horsepower twin turbo car. I want one. And you know, and the proof of that is that as soon as Nissan realized the demand for the next GT-R in 2009, they released one for here, and it sold like absolute hotcakes. So, you know, as soon as they realized the demand, they built one for here, and it did not disappoint. And you know, it's just it's still to this day, even though it's getting a little bit older now, it's still just a ridiculous car, and totally lives up to the GT-R name. But yeah, if I was rich and could have any car, I would definitely have an R34. And just because to me, that's just the coolest one. Of course, that's what Paul Walker drove, and it was just awesome for so many reasons. But that's the one that I would most definitely have. And, you know, moving into some of the reasons why, well, you know, you see a bunch of them driving around, and you say, well, how is that possible? If they're illegal, how are people driving them around? And basically, there are ways you can do it. So here's where it gets a little tricky. I know I said they were totally illegal. And, you know, to be honest, some of the ones you see driving around are illegal. Here's one thing, too, is that you have to remember is that if you just see a GT-R at a track or at a drag strip or something, if you buy a car and trailer it to that place, it doesn't have to be legal at all. You can build your own car and drive it on a private track or a drag strip, and it doesn't matter. So if you see a GT-R in a setting like that, it may be totally illegal and the person just trailers it there, or they drive it illegally or whatever. You know, there's some driving around also that are illegal, and generally if you keep your head out of trouble, or you know, you keep your head low, I should say, most places the police aren't going to go to the trouble of taking them. But in major markets where the police know this is going on, like in California, for example, the GT-Rs get confiscated and crushed. As sad as it is, many times they do. They get seized by the police, and then they get sent to a car crusher, which is a really stupid thing for us car people. But unfortunately, that's just saying, hey, if it doesn't belong on the road, you're driving it on the road, it gets crushed. So as stupid as it is, it happens. But basically, there are ways to import a GT-R legally. And basically what you have to do is go through a registered importer, and they can make them, and this importer makes the necessary modifications to the car to drive it here. So that's why you do see some that are totally legal, registered, driving around, and but it's very difficult. Again, in order to do that, to go that route, if you want one that's less than 25 years old, which we'll get to in a second, you have to make it meet all of those really stringent standards. So you have to make sure that it meets crash test standards and emission standards and everything. You know, one of the, I forget if it's the R33 or the R32, It almost meets the standards, except the only thing you need to do is convert the OBD to the OBD whatever system to an OBD2 system, which was made to be. It was a regulation that all U.S. cars had to have that in a certain year. I don't know if it was in the 90s or whatever, but you can basically make it legal doing that. So that's like one option, and it's not that hard, but that's just 1 year. You know, like I said, some of them are different. Some of them, you know, it's really hard to make it legal. So you don't. That's why you don't see hardly any of them. It's just so much money. Like most things in life, the problem can be solved if you have a lot of money, but that's why you don't see a ton of them. So what's this magic 25-year rule that everyone talks about? Well, the 25-year rule simply means that in the eyes of the United States government, your car is now an antique if it's 25 years or older. So it being 2015, so the model years for the original R32 GT-R, which was from 1989, well, it started in 1989, and I think it went to 94, the R32 generation. And basically now that that's 25 years old, it makes it a ton easier to import, because you can import it without having to make it meet all of those really stringent safety standards and everything. So that's why, you know, everyone says, oh, 25 years old now, and it's not as if it's like your golden ticket to paradise. Just because it's easier to import doesn't make it less expensive, really. It's you still have to bring the car here from another country, which is not exactly the easiest thing to do, but it makes it a lot easier as far as the law is concerned, and as far as getting it registered to drive on the street. So that's basically it. So, you know, the real reason why they were always illegal, it's just for a lot of different reasons. They don't meet the standards that a U.S. car needs, and they were just never designed for the U.S. market. It's just that simple. But like I said, you know, it's a huge thing for me, and one of the reasons why I wanted to make this vlog is just because, you know, I want people out there to know I'm not just an American car guy, and I would absolutely love, when that time comes, I will seriously consider getting an R34 GT-R. If I'm at a point in my life where I'm successful and I can afford it, I would absolutely kill for, it's called Calsonic Blue is the color for those GT-Rs. I would absolutely love one with gold wheels. That's what I'd like. But anyway, you know, just such a cool car. And even today, 300 horsepower all-wheel drive, it's just, that's all you need today. I mean, that's still competing with a lot of cars that are being sold in 2015. So it's just an incredible car, and they really are the stuff of legend, not just because Fast and the Furious, but that too. And you know, they've just been a great car for so many years. So the sun here now ruining my shot. Okay, good, that person's turning. But anyway, yeah, so I hope everyone enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Little pull for a GT-R there. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed, and I hope everyone found this to be a little bit helpful. That's just why they're illegal. Pretty simple and boring explanation, but that's it. And I would absolutely love an R34. So if you have an R34 and you want to give it away, please contact me. But anyway, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Always appreciate it. If you're stopping in for the first time, please subscribe and take care. Have a great day.